this. And the worry is them trying to rush and evacuate ahead of that roll of mud and debris that brings cars and boats all collected together. Now, back on land, of course, the quake rattled Tokyo residents who, they're used to these kinds of events, as we've said, but smoke was seen rising from a port building. People poured out into the streets from their office buildings. We spoke to one witness to this who chose to remain in his building. He works for the Times there. He's the Asia editor. He decided that he felt safer inside the building. The advice given by authorities there is if you can possibly get out of those buildings, it might be a better idea. There's furniture, there are going to be aftershocks, and they can be deadly, especially when everything has been unsettled after that 8.9 magnitude quake. Now, Japan's Kyodo News Agency reports there are a number of injuries, and we have spoken to you about these confirmed deaths of 8 at this point. There's been at least one major aftershock since the original 8.9 quake. In actual fact, there have been a few. There was a 6.4, there was a 6.8. We're keeping an eye on that. And as we were talking to our reporter, Kyung La, she was actually, when we were talking to her live, experienced an aftershock there and sort of stabilized herself as she spoke to us. Let's go to our Ivan Cabrera now, who's at the International Weather Center, keeping an eye on all of this. And of course, you know, I mentioned, Ivan, the Kiribati, an atoll where, you know, there is nowhere to run here. There's no high ground.
Each government is going to have to really get the word out and let folks know where they have to go. Head inland and at least 15 meters high, 50 feet, if you can do that. This video is just continuing to see this. It's just unbelievable to me. Some of these structures, it looks like some of the buildings are intact. They were just essentially lifted off their foundation as the tsunami came in. Here are two things that are going on in Japan. We are continuing with an earthquake threat in Japan. We have now had a stronger magnitude quake than what we had in Haiti, and that was just an aftershock of a 7.1. We're going to continue to get these aftershocks. When you get a great earthquake of an 8.9, you're going to get these aftershocks that are going to be into the 6 magnitude, into the 7 magnitude, which in themselves can cause significant damage. That's threat number 1. That will continue for several hours, perhaps days, perhaps weeks as they get a little bit weaker. The second threat that is ongoing is the tsunami threat. If you're wondering, yes, it's hit Japan, but the reason they're still under a tsunami warning and a major tsunami warning is because we are not done. A tsunami is a series of waves that will continue to come in. It is not going to be safe for the folks of Japan until 2 hours after the last tsunami hits, and we are not there yet. So again, an active tsunami threat and an active earthquake threat as far as those aftershocks continue for Japan. That is for Japan, where we've already confirmed a measurement as far as the wave heights of 7.3 meters. That is unbelievable. 24-foot wall of water coming in to Sendai there. Sendai Airport is gone from this 8.9. I want to go through the rest of the essentially warnings. The entire Pacific Rim is now under a tsunami warning or watch. We are now at the most severe level from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. If you are near a coast, and it is near the Pacific coast, get away from the coast and move inland and move to higher ground. If you're watching us from Hawaii, that includes you, where you have about 2.5 hours before essentially the first tsunami arrives, and all of the islands in Hawaii are going to be impacted. The tsunami, remember, wraps around the islands here. It will approach in 2.5 hours at 3 a.m. local time. Remember, the Indonesia tsunami hit further to the west, so Hawaii was not hit hard because we had all these land masses that essentially from them getting hardest hit. But you are not going to be protected if you're watching us from Russia, where the tsunami is about to arrive now. Marcus Islands at 8:53 GMT. If you're watching us from Taiwan, very near there, 9:30 GMT is your arrival. If you're watching us from the Philippines, I know that you are. It is now going to arrive in the Philippines, northern Philippines at 9:55 GMT, further to the south at 10:26 GMT. These times are crucial because we are running out of time the closer you are to that epicenter to get to the higher ground. Marshall Islands at 10:44 GMT. Indonesia, 10:49 GMT. Papua New Guinea, as you see on the map there, arrival at 11:30 GMT.
Australia
Solomon
too.
Islands, a few minutes thereafter. Kiribati at 12:28 GMT. Again, as I mentioned, Hawaii, 3 a.m. local time. As we have been hearing the sirens, the tsunami sirens have been ongoing there, warning folks of the impending potential catastrophic tsunami that is going to arrive. Australia, you're in on it as well, 16:20 GMT. Mexico, Rosemary, now we're getting into, again, on the other side of the Pacific here, Mexico. Oregon is now under a tsunami watch into Alaska. New Zealand as well, further to the south. Chile in on it. Ecuador,
New
Colombia,
Zealand?
Peru. We're talking about the arrival there literally 24 hours from now, so plenty of time for folks to be warned. But the region that I'm most concerned about, obviously in Japan here, further to the north into Russia. There is Taiwan, arrival in just about an hour, then the Philippines and the southern Philippines, and then we get into Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, and into Malaysia as well. We'll continue to track it again. The tsunami travels at about 800 kilometers per hour, so it's a pretty simple program that we punch in, and we're able to determine exactly the arrival of the first of many waves to come. Keep you posted on that.
Yeah, thankfully there
You go. We're going to leave that CNN coverage for now, and